Right, today I want to start talking about the outbound integrations, basically the exporting tools out of the Fusion. How we can export the data from the Fusion into whatever systems we want. Maybe how we can actually export data out of the Fusion applications. That's what I'm planning to talk today. So for exporting data out of the Fusion applications, basically we have varied number of tools available in the Fusion applications. Basically, number one, the typical legacy BI publisher. BI publisher, traditionally we call it as an XML publisher. How we export, how we use the XML publisher to export data out of any legacy application. If anyone has worked on the XML publisher or BI publisher, traditionally we use this tool to create a pixel perfect reports and then generate the output from there. So typically this is one tool which we can use in Fusion reporting tools to export data out of the Fusion applications. And we have another tool called OTBI. OTBI is Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence Tool. It is another tool which can be used to export data out of the Fusion applications. It's another kind of tool. And we have another tool basically which is being used in the HR module only, that is called HCM Extract, which is specific to HCM module alone, where we can export HR data out of the Fusion applications. Most of times HCM Extracts takes help from the BI publisher and then generates the data. We will see each and every individual topic. And there's one more thing in the financial and supply chain management world. We have something called Financial Reporting Center, and it is another tool basically from which is used in the financial world to export the data, to view the data in the Fusion applications. And we have last one, typically the web services. Even using web services, we can always query the data available in the cloud. We have some web services available which actually helps us to search data in the cloud. So we have using web services as well, we can export the data out of the cloud. So we have these 4 different tools which are available in the Fusion applications to export data out of the cloud. Okay. Right, so let's see a quick review about these individual tools, and then we will go about each and every tool in detail. Okay, let's see BI Publisher. Typically, what do BI Publisher will do? What BI Publisher will do, it is used to extract, format, and deliver the data from Fusion to any third-party applications. So how do you extract the data? Basically, in BI Publisher, when we talk about BI Publisher, what typically we do, typically we write an SQL queries basically. Wherever you write SQL queries, that will become a data model. When I write a SQL queries and create a data model, that is where you extract the data. Once you got the data extracted, you have to format the data. Why to format the data? Because we have to generate the output in your required format, right? Generate the output in required format in sense like, do you want to generate the data in a CSV file? Or do you want to generate the data in a text file? Or do you want to generate the data in PDF format? What format you want to create the report basically. That is where you create the report, and then you have delivered these reports, right? Delivering them means, where do you want to deliver it? Do you want to deliver it to an FTP server? Or do you want to deliver it in email address? Or do you want to deliver it to a warehouse? Or do you want to deliver it to any external application. Where do you want to deliver that? Typically, BIP publisher extract we can use to extract the data, format the data, and deliver the data to any third-party system. Any third-party system can be any of the printer, scanner, FTP server, or email, can be anything. So BA Publisher, typically we use these three components. So whenever we talk about BA Publisher, what we have to learn? We have to learn how to create a data model. We have to learn how to create a report, and we have to learn how to deliver the data, deliver the report that we have created. So these three components we are going to learn. Okay, so when I talk about BA Publisher, I will talk about these individual components, how to create data model. By creating data model, what are the necessary steps we have to take? Once you create the data model, how to create a report. Creating the report, typically I'll be showing how to create a report using a report builder, that is inbuilt tool in the Fusion applications, or how to create the report using XML Publisher. In the XML Publisher, I'm going to show how to create a report in a e-text templates, and how to create report in Excel sheet. So we're going to see, when I create a report, I'm going to talk about those various ways of creating the report. And then once I create the report, then I'm going to show how to schedule the report and how to deliver the generated report to the respective destination. That's what we are going to see when I talk about BA Publisher. The next one is OTBI. OTBI is a Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence tool, which is a very popular tool, and it is a very user-friendly tool. Basically, it is very quick. It's very quick for us to develop a reports out of these OTBI tools. We just need to drag and drop the columns from the subject area. Subject area is nothing but set of columns. We can drag and drop that columns of subject areas into a report, and we can quickly create the report. Typically, this OTBI is actually nowadays getting very popular, and typically most of times it doesn't need a technical person to create any OTBI report. In case of BA Publisher report, typically we need a technical person because we need to create a data model and we need to report. To do both of these things, we need expertise. In case of this OTBI, it is less like a drag and drop and a quick analysis. So these cases, it's not much technical knowledge is necessary. What all we need to do, we just need to know the functionality of it. Okay, so we just need to drag and drop the columns from the subject areas. Then the report will get created automatically. Even you don't need to create any report here. Once that it will create automatically, and then we can deliver the report. Basically, in OTBI case, most of times what we do, we deliver this report over to the Fusion applications. Basically, what do you mean by Fusion applications? So assume that you have created a report. Once you create a report, okay, example, once you create a report and you want the report to show, example, if I go to some screen, example, let's say if I go to my dashboard, okay, if I go to my dashboard, if I'm able to show the report here in this screen, it is nothing but Fusion applications. In this Fusion applications, I want to show my report. Okay, if you want to show a report here, typically visually rich report, typically in OTBI, once you create the report, we have provision to deliver the report as a dashboard of the Fusion applications. We can do that. We can show the report here, or not only here, we can also show the report in most of the screens that you wanted to like. Example, you wanted to, let us say, if you want to see your own data, example, let us say about me. In the about me, if I go to personal information, example, I'm saying personal information. In this personal information screen, maybe I want to generate a report here, embed a report here, which I have developed, which someone has developed, and the report has to come up here. I think of a scenario like a company's vice president, financial director is there, and when our financial director logs into the system and clicks on his My Dashboard, then typically a report should come up here, show up on the page like what is the status of the financial statement as of today. Or if some HR vice president logs in, maybe we can show up a couple of reports here saying that hey, this is the current hiring trend, or this is the current iteration trend, it is the current promotions trend, something like that. I can show multiple reports here. So if you wanted the report to be delivered to the Fusion applications, we can deliver to the Fusion applications basically using any of the BI Publisher and OTBI. Basically, OTBI is a very powerful tool which will have very rich visual reports can be created. Visual reports means like graphs or a pie charts or a trellis or many ways we can do. All the reports can be delivered to the Fusion applications. That is one advantage of OTBI. Okay, and this is one kind of tool. So when I talk about OTBI, I'm going to talk about what is subject area and how do we get access to the subject area. And once we get the subject area access, how can we create a report using subject areas? Once we have the reports got created, while creating the reports, we will be seeing many ways of how to create a visually rich reports and how to combine the data from multiple subject areas and how to create the reports using those subject areas. And once we have the reports got created, how to create dashboards on top of it, how to create KPI reports on top of it, KPI performance reports on top of it. And there are many visual things what we can do, how we can do all that stuff. We will see that. And once we have those reports got created, how we can show those dashboards in our Fusion applications. For this, I'm going to do a little customization on top of the page. So I will be talking about all these things when I talk about OTBI. And we have another tool which is specific to HR modules, that is called HCM Extracts. So HCM Extracts, as I said, it is really used for the HR modules. Basically, this whoever using HR module, these HCM Extracts are very popular because using HCM Extracts, we can always query the HR data out of the Fusion applications. And the way it was given in the Fusion applications using the HCM Extracts is, I mean, if anyone has worked on the extracts in the EBS, they might be having that knowledge. So if someone is new to the HCM Extracts, what typically happens is Oracle has written queries for us. They have already written the queries to pull data out of the Fusion application tables, and those queries are ready-madely available. Okay, and they're available. And what all we need to do? So, excuse me. Excuse me. So what all we need to do? We have to, while creating an extract, typically we create a report basically. So in that actually we create XML format report basically. In that case, what we do, whatever queries Oracle has already written, and basically on top of it they will create a fast formulas. I'll talk about fast formulas later. So they have written all the queries and fast formulas on top of the HR tables. What all we need to do, we just need to use the already written fast formulas or queries on top of the HR tables and keep creating the extracts. Basically, it's an XML format. Once we have the XML format got created, what typically we need to do, again, we have to rely on the BI Publisher, XML Publisher tool to format this data. Whatever data we got generated using BI Publisher, we have to format the data in a proper format. Maybe we have to create the data in maybe in CSV file or .dat file or .text file, whatever format we wanted it to. We have to generate the data using the BI Publisher. Once we generate the data, again we can deliver the data to any location, maybe to a FTP server or email or printer or scanner or a warehouse. We can deliver the data to any destination basically. So when I talk about HCM Extracts, I will talk about what is the fundamentals of extract basically, and what is the how the Oracle has written queries or fast formulas on top of it. Using that, how we can generate XML file, and how we can integrate with the BI Publisher, and how we can prepare the data, create the report, and how we can deliver it. We will be talking about it when I talk about HCM Extracts. And there's another thing which is specific to finance. It is typically HCM Extracts functionality, where once we have the XML format data got created using BI Publisher, we have to create using the templates, using MS Word or Adobe or Excel. Using you can create the report. Once you have the report, that report output can be PDF, HTML, XML, PowerPoint, Flash, RTF, CSV, anything, and these outputs can be delivered to any of the destinations. Typically, that's what typically BA publisher will do. Okay, so we'll talk about that. And in the finance world, we have something called Financials Reporting Center. In the Financials Reporting Center, basically, in the Financial Reporting Center, typically what happens, if you have a financials world, typically what happens, we have journal entries, subledgers, ledgers, everything will be there. And typically, if you wanted to interact with all these modules together and to want to build the reports, you can rely on the OTBI and BA publisher. On top of it, Oracle has, if you have the proper licensing, we have something called Oracle Financial Reporting Center. What Oracle will do, Oracle actually create a cubes. Basically, it's a general ledger pre-aggregated balances. So Oracle will do that aggregations and balances and create the cubes. On top of the cubes, we have 3 reporting consoles on which you can use report the data. Basically, once you have these cubes ready, you have 3 reporting applications: financials reporting, and we have account monitor and account inspector, and we have smart view. Smart view nothing but another Excel sheet kind of a tool on which you can rely on these S-based cubes and keep generating the data in all these consoles, basically. So it is another reporting tool which will be used in the Financials Reporting Center. And again, whatever these 3 reporting tools are again based on this S-cubes, and this S-cubes data again is based on the fundamental modules, basically. And if you want to hit these fundamental modules and generate your own data, you can always rely on the BA publisher and OTBI. But Oracle, if you have the Financial Reporting Center licensing, and Oracle has simplified it by creating the S-based cubes upon these balances and ledgers, and then on top of it, we can use these 3 reporting tools and generate the data. Basically, this is another reporting tool. So we have all these reporting tools available in the cloud, basically, and along with this we have one more, web services. As I said, web service, using web services we can always query the Fusion applications and then dynamically generate the data out of the Fusion applications and show it up in your custom application whenever you want it to. That is the other way. Okay, so out of all these things, I will start with OTBI today, basically Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence Tool, basically, and then we will see basically the OTBI is very popular tool out of these Fusion reporting tools, and which is being used by the business user, which is being used by the administrator, which is being used by the developer. All these 3 will use this, and let's see that. So OTBI, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence Tool. So what is OTBI? It is actually OTBI Fusion specific reporting tool, and this OTBI uses the Oracle Business Enterprise Edition reporting tool to generate the reports out of the Fusion. So what is OBIEE and what is OTBI? OTBI is a child of OBIEE. So OBIEE, actually, if I say OBI is Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition, is a proprietary reporting tool, a middleware tool of the Fusion applications. Okay, and if you go with the SaaS model, in the SaaS model, you won't have full licensing of OBIEE, basically. Okay, so let me quickly. So typically, if I say OBIE, if I say OBIE, so OBIE typically has 4 components. So 3 components. One is OTBI, that is Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence, and we have we would say Oracle Transaction Intelligence, and we have something called, okay, let us say, yeah, instead of that, let me say like this. OTBI tool, and another thing as OBIA, Oracle Business Intelligence Analytics. That's what they say. So typically what happens in these cases, these are 2 things. So let us assume that we have the database. So we have the Fusion database. Okay. So we have the Fusion DB. So for any reporting tool, how the reporting tool should work? How the reporting tool should work, basically, any reporting tool should able to gather data from multiple sources. Okay. So example, if I have another source 1, I would say source 1 as EBS, and I have another source 2 as, I would say, my custom application, something like that. Okay. So if it is the case, typically what should happen, any reporting tool, typically what it should do, it should refer all the sources together and should able to pull the data, basically. That's what any reporting tool should do, right? So any reporting tool should refer all the sources and generate the data into this, into the reporting tool. That's how it works. But if you go with the SaaS model, typically, what happens is you won't have access to any system other than the cloud. You won't have access to the EBS, or you don't have access to the custom applications. That's not possible. You won't get access, basically. All you have access is only the Fusion database. Okay, whatever the transactions you are doing, the real transactions, whatever transactions you are doing, whatever online transactions, or the whatever I would say, the real transactions happen in the Fusion applications, real transactions in Fusion. Any transactions happens in the Fusion, what happens, it will store in the Fusion database, right? So what typically in SaaS model happens is you will have access to only this database, basically, to query the data. Okay. In that case, what happens is, in those cases, if you work only on the Fusion database, which actually has the real transactions of the Fusion, then we can call that as Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence. So that is the access we have, which we can only query the data from the Fusion database. Okay, that is part. If you go with SaaS, that's what you will get. Okay, but if you have additional licensing, so Oracle Fusion has something called example, let us say if you have full licensing of the OBIE, typically you will have OBIA as well. So which will have which can get data from multiple sources. Once you have data from multiple sources, using that multiple sources, again, typically I would call a combination of these 2 as OBIE. So if you have full licensing, then you can use OBIE. But in our case, we won't have licensing to all these 3. Basically, we won't have licensing. In the SaaS model, you have licensing only for the OTBI and this Fusion DB. That's what it works. Okay.
OBIE means analytics.
Yes, it's OBIE is like, yeah, the Fusion reporting tool, basically. It's you are talking about OBIA.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean they will call it as Fusion Oracle Business Intelligence Analysis. Basically, analysis, what do they mean by is it can get the data from the multiple sources as well, multiple sources along with the So along with the cloud, it has access to the multiple sources and can operate on these multiple sources together. That's the meaning of that. So what Oracle has given is, if you have you can always purchase OBIA alone. As if you have OTBIA access, you can have OBIA access alone, and Oracle call that as VA. It is called visual analysis, basically, or we can say, yeah, I have access for that. Let me show you that one. Yeah.
Even we are also, our application also using BA tool.
Your application using which tool?
BA.
OBIE, okay.
No, means it comes in the WordPad, we need to edit through the BA tool. So
okay.
You said BA and OTBA both are different, right? Again.
Okay. So you're talking about BA publisher, right?
BA publisher.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, BA publisher is actually, we can use BA publisher for what is BA publisher? BA publisher functionality is different. What the BA publisher will do, again, I will go to that reporting tool. What BA publisher will do? Using BA publisher, typically what happens, we create the data using SQL query. Once you create the data using SQL query, what you can do, we will have the data model. Once you have the data model, that data model will be in the XML file format. Once you have XML file format, it is a report. In this case, we use the XML publisher. And XML publisher, we can create it in the XML publisher. Here we will usually you do it in the Word or Excel or whatever tool you like to. So it is a fundamental of BA publisher. So BA publisher fundamental, what is the source of the data here? It is the SQL query. So if you have access to the Fission database, then here you can use BA publisher to query the Fission database. If you have access to this database as well, then here also you can use BA publisher to query the database. If you have access to these databases, then any database where you can write the query, then you can use BA publisher basically. So BA publisher is a tool where you can create the reports, a pixel perfect reports in a Word or Excel, whatever, based on the data model. Data model actually generates from any of these databases. Okay. So in this case, if you want to keep it the BA publisher here, I would say,
My understanding is when we are raising the concern to next level team, BA also will goes under the OBI component.
Yes. That's what I'm writing here. So basically, BA publisher also goes into the OBI. That's true. So BA publisher is also a part of that OBI family. I could say that. So BA publisher can act on this one, can act on this one, can act on this one based on the licensing what we have. If we have SaaS model, then BA publisher can only act on the Fission database. If you have licensing for OBIA, then you can act on this one and as well as this one and this one, all these three. Okay. So it is what it is. So in the SaaS model, we won't have access to any of these things. And if you wanted to get licensing to get access to connect to multiple sources, then we have something called, let me log into that. Give me 1 minute. I have access for that. Let me show you that quickly. Opening my.
Lakshmi, if you, maybe I missed something. So between OBIE to Fission applications, we have we have OTBA, right? So is it the architecture or way it should go?
Okay, so you are talking about the
between maybe any custom applications or Fission application to OBIE.
Okay.
So there is an interface or kind of thing between.
Yeah, let me open that.
Actually, Lakshmi, I'm trying to understand what exactly the difference between OTBA and
Yes.
OTBA?
So both are same, similar it seems like. See,
OTBA and BA publisher?
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Okay, so, okay. I think okay.
And if you can give an overview between maybe I joined late.
Okay.
I missed it, I'm not sure. So what is the OTBI? What it contains, and why we should go from Fusion to OTBI, OTBI to OBIE?
Okay. So
why can't we go directly to the Fusion to OBIE?
Right. So okay. So my okay. So one by one, let me open the architecture first, and oh no. Okay, so it is the real architecture of OBIE. If I talk about OBIEE, so it is a real architecture. Okay, so before I talk about this, let me clarify the difference between the BA publisher and OTBI. What is the difference between these two? Okay, so how many are aware of? How many is not aware of BA publisher or XML publisher? Can I assume everyone is aware of XML publisher?
Yes, Lakshmi.
Okay, right. So using XML publisher, we generate the reports. We create the reports using a Word or Excel or whatever format you like. Okay. In OTBI, how typically you generate the report is, okay. So I'm directly going to OTBI. Though I'm not talking fundamentals, I will talk about it. If I go to OTBI, I'm just going to BA server directly. So in OTBI, typically what I will do, I will click on the analysis. I'll talk about what is subject area and how we get access to this one. I will talk about all these things in detail. I'm just quickly showing typically how in OTBI, how we generate the data. In BA Publisher, we have to create it in the MS Word or report builder. But in case of BI, in the OTBI, typically we use BA answers. In the BA answers, what all we do, we will have all the columns defined by the Oracle, all the things are defined by the Oracle. What all I need to do, I just need to drag and drop the fields here. First name, last name, or whatever I wanted to, I will just drag and drop here. And if we click on the results, I'm getting the data here, as simple as such. It is OTBI. In case of BA Publisher, to generate the same data, what you need to do, you have to write a query for the select first name, last name, person number from so and so table, create a data model. On top of a data model, go to the Word, MS Word. In that MS Word, you can import the XML file, whatever, and generate that MS. In that, create the report. Once you create the report, again, what you need to do, you have to get the report back to your application. Whatever report it back to the application and connect to the data model and this layout together, and then create a report and then run the report. You have to follow 6 to 7 steps to do that. But in this OTBI, what I'm doing, I'm just using my whatever Oracle has exposed the columns in my subject areas. I went to that, I choose those things, I just got it. And I can export it to Excel or PDF, whatever, or I can schedule this to run and deliver to the respective destination, respective people, or I can have this report come up automatically on the Fusion applications. I can do that. That is the OTBI. Okay, hope you understood the difference between OTBI and BA Publisher. Okay, now coming to the architecture. So it is a typical architecture of the OBIE. Okay, so whatever
Lakshmi, OTBA means it's an online generation report, right? So no need to integrate with Oracle applications. Maybe Fusion or Oracle applications.
OTBA is part of Fusion applications. So whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, like BA Publisher, no need to integrate or something. No need to register or run it.
No. We can just use it. That's it.
Lakshmi, I have a suggestion.
Sorry, Pradeep.
I have a suggestion, Lakshmi.
Yeah.
See, these are basically different tools which are extracting data from Fusion and reporting to the end user. I think once you finish your complete explanation on OTBI,
Yeah.
Everybody will have a clear understanding.
That's right.
Because then they can park their questions. At the end, their questions will be more useful.
Yeah.
Because right now, people are just confused because they haven't seen OTBI.
Right.
BI Publisher is a simple thing. BI Publisher is you run a concurrent program, you set the output to XML, you import that XML output into a Microsoft Word template, and you give the report to the user, correct?
Yeah.
That's a different tool. OTBI is a more sophisticated tool. Once we see it, we'll have, everybody will be clear, and if there are any questions, we can take it at that time.
Sure. Yeah, that's better actually. Okay.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Basic thing is basically the main agenda of this OTBI, right? We are talking about reports. So that is the reason this is a very basic question. That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
So I'm not talking about, I'm not shooting multiple questions. The thing is basically I wanted to understand what is a OTBI means. That's it. I don't want to. My main agenda is just I want to understand.
Right. Basically, I think in the beginning you missed it, Srinivas. Basically, we have started from there.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned clearly. I missed something.
Yeah, Srinivas, it's a tool. It's a tool which is a reporting tool available in Fusion applications. It comes under the family of OBIEE. It's a reporting tool. So if Lakshmi finishes his entire presentation, everybody will be so much clear that many of the questions will not remain.
No. See, Pradeep, what is happening is Srinivas is trying to understand what is he missed something. He missed some 5-10 minutes. So that's the reason he's trying to understand what exactly. That's the reason he's asking.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying if Lakshmi goes through the presentation, a lot of questions will get answered on the way.
Yeah. Maybe end of the class, maybe, you can ask more questions.
Sure. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Right. So, coming to the architecture, basically, so it is a complete OBIEE architecture, right? So here, basically, whatever is given as a red, that is out of the box with the Fusion in the SaaS model. Whatever is given as a gray, that is needs additional licensing. Okay. So here, as I said, in the SaaS model, we only have access to the Fusion application, that is transactional database. Okay. And if you want access to the other application sources, maybe other database sources like EBS, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Siebel, or other sources, typically to get access, to get data from those sources, we need additional licensing to get the OBIA data warehouse. Basically, that is what I'm saying, OBIA. So once we have that, then typically we could get data from, you can get data from EBS, whatever systems, and also from Fusion Transaction Database together, and we can create our own reports basically. That is the additional licensing needed for this. In case of the Fusion Transactional Database, basically where the real transaction happens means whatever data is loaded into the Fusion application database, that is what? That online tables, right? So in those tables, typically to access those tables, we have OTBI. So typically, if you see this architecture, what typically happens, why we mentioned view objects here, BI view objects, any access to the database except BI publisher, in all the cases, access to the database won't happen directly. The inbuilt architecture is, as I was talking in the ADF, every data access should go through the view objects. That is one of the component in the ADF framework, right? Any access to happens to the view objects except BI publisher, where we can write a direct SQL query. That is right. We have a direct arrow indication here. And from the database, we can have OTBI, which typically refers to that database and creates the prepackaged reports or custom reports or ad hoc queries using BI Composer and answers. I will talk about what are these things. So this is what typically happens. It is a typical architecture of OBIEE. Okay. So we have OTBI, reporting tool, and BI publisher. SQL queries are from analysis also. We can create BI publisher. That is another tool. And the last one is OBIA, typically which needs additional licensing to extract data from multiple sources along with the Fusion applications. Okay. Right. So I'm going back to the OTBI now. I'm going to talk about this OTBI alone now. Okay. When I talk about OTBI, I will talk about BI publisher later. Okay. I'm talking about OTBI alone. So it's the OTBI. Right. So So in OTBI, instead of constructing SQL query, you can simply drag and drop the selected data from subject areas and use different graphical views, as I was showing before, right? And once we create a OTBI report or a dashboard nothing but combination of multiple reports. A report or dashboard can be embedded in the Fusion application through personalization or customization. That's the advantage of OTBI. Now in OTBI, we can any reporting application, we can think of three kind of users. Basically, the casual users who will just like to see a report in the application, can be an employee, maybe he may or may not, or maybe a financial director, maybe sometimes he see the data, casual user. And a power user, HRS information system analyst or a financial analyst, typically to do their day-to-day job, typically what they need to do, they should have an ability to create a report in Fusion reporting tool. Typically, these are the power users are most important business users, typically who need to run the reports or who has able to, you should have able to create the reports to do the day-to-day job. Traditionally, what is happening for the power users, every time they have to rely on the IT person saying that, hey, I want this report. Then IT person availability on the IT people, typically they have to go into the system, create the report, and give them attached to a responsibility and ask that power user to go and run the report. What if we give the ability to power user to go and generate the report? What if we give that ability? So that is where OTBI plays a key role. So here power user can go and create report in the Fusion reporting tool. If something the power user can't do, if power user can't do means there is something whatever OTBI is offering that is not meeting the needs of the power user, it means that OTBI is not sufficient. We have to go more into the tables. That is the place where actually we have to rely on the IT developer to create using SQL queries, basically. I mean, it doesn't mean IT developer won't involve in the reporting in the OTBI. They can do, but typically if you think about the evaluation, then typically is what happening basically. Casual user just see the report. Typically in this case, what I will do, I'll create a report, embed in the Fusion application. They won't come to the reporting server. Casual user just go to the Fusion application and see the data. Power user, where they will see the data and also should have ability to create a report and use it in the day-to-day purposes. And IT developer will come, if no one is able to do anything, that is the place IT developer will come and will help creating report in the OTBI, or they will go and create a SQL queries and be a publisher and deliver the needs. Basically, that is what typically happens. So as we understood power user needs the OTBI, let us learn more about the OTBI basically. So the way to OTBI, it has 4 important properties. What is? The first one is real-time business intelligence. Real-time means, as I was saying, it interacts with the transactional database, where actually whenever someone do any transaction, the data will go to the database. That is a real-time database. As we are hitting the real-time database, there's no latency, no gap. You get the exact data. Typically, traditional ETL tools, how does it happen? Typically, most of our traditional reporting tools, we will have a latency of 1 hour or 2 hours to see the latest data. But in case of OTBI, we won't have that latency because we are directly hitting the direct database. The performance tuning of that, everything will be taken care by Oracle. Okay, that is the meaning of no persistent data store as well. And use of Fuse and high interactivity, as it is a best-in-class tool, basically where we have a rich visible analytics, and also it has a business-centric reporting subject areas. So what is a subject area basically? So what Oracle has done, if I talk about a subject area, what Oracle has done, Oracle has written all the queries. Example, if you talk about employee, typically what employee data is? Employee person number, employee first name, employee last name, and they created a query behind the scenes in the physical layer they created a query behind the scenes, and that exposed and that query is exposed in the presentation layer as a columns basically. So when I was just run a report here, typically what happened, they created a worker dimension basically. I will talk about what is dimension. In the worker dimension, they have exposed all these columns, because these are all the columns needed for any employee. Example, that's what they identified and have recreated all these columns. Typically, what happens in the behind the scenes? Behind the scenes, if anyone worked on the OBIE, typically behind the scenes we have 3 layers: physical layer, business layer, presentation layer. Typically in physical layer, what Oracle has done, they have written all the queries behind the scenes, and they haven't exposed what is the query. Instead, they have just exposed the columns in the query like this. Okay, so that and related folders: worker employee details, employee location details, employee department details. So all these things, they together combined as a worker management subject area, workforce management subject area. It means workforce, to manage workforce, we need all these details. So Oracle has hypothetically visualized it is what it's needed, and they have grouped all these things together into one subject area, and that subject area is delivering to the user. If a user has access to the subject area, then typically that user has access to multiple dimension folders. Every dimension folder is one query, and every dimension folder has set of columns or sub-dimension folder, and those columns we can just drag and drop on our analysis and start creating the reports. So that is the subject area what Oracle has created by business-centric reporting subject areas. Oracle came up by contacting best-in-class functional people and came up what reporting subject areas is necessary, and they built the reporting subject areas. If you go back to the SaaS model, in the previous legacy systems, developer used to create all these subject areas. If someone has really used OBIE before, any ETL tool in OBIE, typically developer has to create all these subject areas. In the SaaS model, Oracle has done for us. What all we need to do? Just use the subject areas. We have many subject areas. Use the subject areas and start creating the reports.
Lakshman, you are showing in HCM. So can you please show us in finance modules as well? Like, yeah. Because I'm purely from HCM and finance background.
Sure. So I'm just signing out and I'm logging in as but whether it is finance or HCM, the access is different. But anyway, I will show with the finance login. So how I can go to reports analytics?
So for this reports and analytics, do we need to add any security role, or directly it will be by default it will come?
That's reports analytics row will come by default. But I will talk about security in a while. Give me 2 minutes. I will talk about that. So I am into the financial person now. So financial person has access to his own subject areas basically. So maybe order management or project management or receivables.
Finance, the payables can be work.
Payables. Okay. Payables, out of payables, which one should I choose? Payables, payments, something like that?
Invoices or anything. Invoice or payments, anything is fine.
Okay. Okay, I will take something. So yeah, so this is subject area. So what typically they have done in that subject, the Oracle has categorized the subject areas together, and each subject area come along with the set of folders, and that folder will have the set of columns like this. That's all they do. This simple like that. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. They cover business-centric subject areas and pre-built calculated measures. What is a measure? if I just example, let us think of example like if I have a direct access to the column, example, I've got the employee name or employee location or employee salary. That's a direct database column. Measures, typically what happens is if any operation happens on top of that column. Okay, so how do I would say, like example, let us say let us say in HR, basically what happens is if employee joins, basically if employee works for 40 hours, that person can call as a full-time person. If you employ for 30 hours, then that person is not a full-time person, but that person is actually 0.8% of FTE, something like that. So something is derived based on a column, basically. If something is derived based on one column, that is called a measure. So Oracle also comes up with a predefined measures. If there are any column which is like this, see that in this case what happened, withholding tax amount to date, it is actually a measure. Whereas these columns, supplier name, is actually straightforward from the database columns. And whereas this one is actually withholding tax amount to date, which is actually the scale kind of thing, it means it's a derived column. This derived column is called as measure. So Oracle also came up with list of measures in that subject area. So this is payables, withhold, real time is subject area, and this is subject area. We have multiple dimension folders what Oracle has created: party site, and supplier. Supplier has all this one, and along with the withholding dimension, where actually provides information on summarized tax amount withheld at supplier site level. So summarized tax amount, so it means something summarized, some functionality applied on top of some columns, basically, right? So it is called a measure, and Oracle also came up with the pre-built measures. So pre-built columns, pre-built subject areas, and pre-built measures. That is why it is very easy of use in our applications, basically. If we deliver this to the power user can typically use this and generate that you report on their own, basically, right? And also seamless integration with Fusion applications. As I was telling, once I create a report, once I create a dashboard, I can make this report and dashboard show up on my Fusion applications. That integration is available with very minimal configuration. I'm talking HCM here, but it's applied to anything. Using HCM Cloud application, basically you can integrate in the Fusion applications. And another beauty of this OTBI is the security. Security in sense, when we talk about security, when we are talking about security, I was saying that access to the data, we can limit the access to the data based on data security policies, right? Example, if I create a security policy in HR world, if I create a security policy that this person should be able to see the data of China employees only. In that case, what happens if I go here and create a report to pull the employer details, then what typically happens is this report won't generate all the data. Whatever security rules we have defined in the Fusion saying that I should see only China employees. In that case, what happens when now you drag and drop the columns, you can only see the China employees data in the BI report as well. Why? Because these security rules are being carried forward from the Fusion applications. If we assign a security role here in your security console, whatever security role assigned to this user, those security roles will also apply in the OTBI level, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence Report level. And based on the security roles assigned to you, only that data you can see it here. That's the next exercise we are going to start with. So you can see that, right? So that is another beauty of security. We get same security actually, right? And we can also get multi-language, and you can get multiple currencies. You can convert this. If you have the currency preferences configured, you can get your required. If you have the currency conversion rates configured, then you can get the you get the data in the respective currency. And also the column labels we can change. local based languages. And another thing is metadata and trees. What is metadata and trees? The beauty of that, in the finance world, you can't see that the tree structure, but in the HR world you can see that tree structure. What is tree structure? So, an example, in any company will have the employee-manager relationship, right? So, a person reports to a manager, and that manager reports to another manager. That manager reports to another manager. This hierarchy can go up to any number of levels. Some companies, that hierarchy go to 15 levels. What if you want to see the 15 levels of data here? So what Oracle has done, Oracle already flattened the tree structure together, and those tree structure is also given as part of the OTBI. Okay, so to show the tree structure, as I said, it won't be available in the finance module, but I will quickly show you in the HR world what I mean by tree structure. So if I log out finance and then log in as some HR user, so I can go to reports tool either from application, from here tools, and I can go to reports analytics, and from here I can go to the reporting tool. Okay, so typically we can go to click on report. Typically it navigates to the reporting tool basically, but is actually going to be a publisher report. But I'm cancelling it and going home. This will become the home page. So here, if I go and create an analysis here, analysis where actually we create a subject, we can choose what subject area you want to play around with. I will talk about all the subject areas. So if you go about any employee subject area, where we can see the employee data. So here we have what the assignment manager, whatever manager hierarchy is there, what Oracle has given, this OTBA has flattened that. Example, if you see the assignment manager unsecured, we have something called the tree structure. If I drag and drop here, they have flattened this tree structure. If you go to the results, then typically it will show the hierarchy. So Aaron James, example, Aaron James. Under Aaron James, we have these people. Under Alexander Thomas, we don't have anyone. So typically we have the structures, no one is here. So this structure will keep going based on the number of. Under Butler, Jessica, we have 3 people. One is Cooper Jane. Under Cooper Jane, we don't have anyone. So this hierarchy as well given by the Oracle. Not only that, they also given the example, if we have some dates, let us say it is again the measures which actually based on number of days of service, which are number of days since worker has last hired. It again works on existing column and create the measure. So I will talk about the dates later. So these are all the things which Oracle has given already. That's what it's saying, that metadata and trees, the tree structures are also available in the OTBI to work on basically, and we can always change column labels. And that's
Lakshmi just created a tree kind of report, right? So it will be gone whenever, suppose you close the application. So it will be gone or it will be saved?
Come that question again, sorry.
Yeah, this asset manager created a tree structure, right? Tree kind of report.
Right.
So it will be there forever or it will be, gone once we...
No, once we save it will be there forever. If I save this report, save this analysis, it will be there forever.
Okay, we need to give some name and save it, that's it.
Yes, that's it. We will talk about that.
Okay.
Try to understand the adjusting basics. Okay. And set supports flex fields too. If you create any flex fields, you can have the flex fields available here too. Okay. So whenever you create a flex fields, there is one column called show in BI enable. If I check that BA enable checkbox, then automatically that flex field will be available in the respective dimension. If the flex field is created in the worker level, it will be in the worker level. If it's payroll level, it will be payroll level. Based on wherever the flex field is created, that flex field will be available in the OTBI report. Okay, and it supports multi-language, and custom reports can be embedded in the pages via Page Composer and as an infolex. So as I was saying, that once you create OTBI report, you can have it in the Fusion applications as a page and also as an infolet. Infolet is a very beautiful topic. I will definitely take one session on that. So right. So, and it is architecture. We have seen that already. And we have around 300 plus embedded analytics, means we have around 300 plus subject areas given by the Oracle. It's actually 2 years old data, maybe more now. It covers around 35 plus Fusion products, HR, financial, supply chain. It covering all the 35 plus Fusion products. We have 300 plus embedded analytics, and we have a common semantic model. Wherever product you go, whatever subject area you go, the way you create report is same. And yeah, so that's the fundamental. So let us talk about the security. That is very important. So we are talking about subject area, but how do we typically, who will get what subject area basically? And okay, more than a subject area, if you create any report, who can access the report? Okay, so typically the fundamental security of this report will be based on these 3 roles basically. That is BA administrator, BA author, BA consumer. So if I say BA administrator, it means whoever has the business intelligence administrator security role assigned, that person will become the BA administrator. It will come from Fusion applications. BA author and BA consumer. Typically, these 2 roles will be generated in the Fusion OTBI. BA server itself. What do you mean? Whoever creates this report, that person will become the author of this report. Okay, and whoever consumes this report, that person will become the consumer of the report. Okay, but creation of the report, consumption of the report, whatever they do, whatever they create, whatever they consume, on what data they can do the consumption, or on what data they can create the report. Whenever they create a report, if you go and create a report for a person number or person name, like example, I'm going to delete this, and if I go here and I create the employee details, I will go and create the first name, last name, or whatever, manager name, and first name, and I will go and create last name, something like that. So if I go and create the report, and also I will get the location, or a business unit or location. In the location, I will get the country instead of the name. So if I have access to all the data, then I will get data of all the employees here from all the countries. What if for this user I restricted access only for the United States? Then when this person creates this report, that person should be able to see United States employees only. How does it work? That work based on the data security profiles what we have created for the roles assigned to that user. Okay, so if this user has many roles, maybe this user has enough roles to access the data, that's what is showing up everything. If I create a user who has access only to the United States country, then that person, whenever creates a report, can see only the US data. If same report is run by some employee who has access to China, the same report will show the China data. Or the same employee have access to the different business units, basically, not the country, based on business unit. If same report run by that specific person, that person can see only the employees belong to that specific business unit. So this data population is based on what data security roles are assigned. That is an important thing to note. Okay. Second thing, that subject areas. We know subject areas, basically subject areas will decide what are all the queries you have access to, right? If I go to the how do you go to subject area? If you go to new and analysis, it is a place where we have all the subject areas. So we have access to all the subject areas. Typically, we won't get access to all the subject areas. Let us take a fresh employee. So what I will do, I will just go and create a fresh employee, new employee who doesn't have access to any roles except employee role. Okay, so I'm not sure if we have anyone like that who has only employee role. I think we didn't create anything here, I guess. RB, yeah, I think it's a new instance. We got it. So what I will do, I will just create a new employee, basically who doesn't have access to, who will have only employee role, except employee role, the person doesn't have any access. And we will see what that person can do with the reporting. And then for that employee, we'll assign a security role. And based on that role, we will see what data that employee can pull. Okay. So let me create a new employee quickly. So to create a new employee, if you have HR access, you will go and create here. And if you don't have HR access, then how do you create? Does anyone remember? You have to go to manage user account, basically. So I'm just hiring an employee as of today. And hiring an employee, and I will take some employee in the legal entity, some US INS legal entity, and I will say create as RB report user 1, and I will say so I will just create this person, and we will log in as this person, and then we will see what this person can do with the reports. Basically, that's the beginning, right? Once then we can start assigning the roles to this person, and we can see what subject areas this person has access to. So we'll see from scratch. So I'm going to create some doesn't have any postal codes, it looks like. Okay, so let me okay, so it's here. Sorry. Okay, so I got something. So let's go and create the user. Okay. Yeah. It's a question. I'm just giving the data whatever is mandatory. I'm not looking at anything else. So okay, so I'm giving some random data and manager. I'll give some manager name here. Okay, and coming to the security roles here, let me take this one. So let us say some name is down. Okay, so let's take this person. Okay, so it's line manager, and let me go next. And in the compensation, other information is the place where you can see what roles come default to this person, basically. So we'll see role request. It has all these roles came by default. Someone has assigned this role by default, but in real world, no one assigns HR manager just like this. So I'm just taking these three. Typically, person will have only employee role assigned. That's what happens in the real world, right? Until unless we provision the role based on the job, provision the role based on the location, something like that. Until unless the person will have only employee role. Okay, so I will give the salary of salary. Basically, we need some salary basis to give the salary, and I give it. It's not necessary. I just gave it. So we have the report user one RB is the person name. So what is the username? So okay, so we have this data and then submit it. Yes, request will be submitted, and this person got created. So now we log in as this person. As I said, reports access will be given for everyone by default. Report and analytics icon will show up for everyone. And we log in as this person and see what this person can access, basically. And from there, we started troubleshooting how the security will keep working. Okay, so let's do that. I just submitted, and then okay, it's still logging. Okay, and typically, let us assume that the person is created, and once the person is logged in. Okay, let me. So we got this person got created. RB report user one. Let us see the. Okay. Let us see the security, what access this person has. So this person has so RB report user one dot RB is the username. Okay, and we have the employee role assigned. Okay, so that's good. So let us preset the password of this person. Okay, set the password, and I will manually change the password. And this is the password, and I got the password, got resetted, and now I will log in as this employee. So once the employee logs in, typically once the person clicks on reports and analytics, what might happen? Can anyone guess? If the person goes to this,
you may able to see only US data because we are given country as US, something like that.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I'm logging in as this person, and let's save it. So this person, typically what happens, this person will have the necessary access, whatever we have, and this person is the employee. Only this person has only this some set of access, right? And as I said, reports analytics will be there by default, this access. So what this person can do, if a person click on reports analytics, typically what happens, This is actually a page where residing in the Fusion application itself, where actually you can create report or analysis in this application itself. Okay, if you click on the report, it will navigate to the BA server. If I click on analysis, it will create analysis here itself, but I will show you later. Let us say employee has access to create report and analysis. That's the first thing we have to observe. Employee has access, but what this person can do. Okay, let us say let me go to BA server first. If I click on this one, I will go to BA server. I know that, and this person does not has unauthorized access. Please contact administrator. When it happened, when I click on create report. So let me say difference between report and analysis. When I say report, it is BA publisher. When I say analysis, that is nothing but OTBI. Okay, I clicked on the report. It said that you don't have access. Okay, so let me go to home. I'm in BA server. I'm going to home. Typically what happened, it is a home page of the BA server. Okay, to create the analysis, what typically this person has to do, go to new, and analysis is missing here. This person has access only to the published reporting, that is BA publisher reporting, and even if I click that, it doesn't make any sense. So what we are observing here, this person doesn't have access to anything except some reporting job, and doesn't make any sense. Basically, report job typically opens up if you want to schedule any job. If you want to schedule any job, this screen will open up. But in this case, this person doesn't have access to anything to create the report basically. So if I go to my shared folders, go to custom, so this person doesn't have any access to any folder basically, right? So this employee can't do anything. So how do you want typically this employee, if your employee want to create a report, the first step is which report this employee want to create, or typically what kind of reports this employee has to do. Example, let us say I am thinking that this employee is a financial analyst. Then this person should create reports only on the financial analyst. Let us say this person is a compensation analyst. This person should report only reports on the compensation analyst, right? So how do we give the report access or analysis access or the subject areas access specific to compensation only? How do we give that? To give that, then again we have to go back to our security reference concepts, what we have discussed in the Fusion applications. When I say security reference concepts, I am again going back to my Fusion repository. Let us say if I go to human resources, again I'm going back to roles. In the roles, I'm opening up my security reference implementation, security reference for Oracle HCM Cloud. I'm going here. So you are deciding that person becomes a compensation analyst, example. So if I search for example, compensation analyst job. So it is a job role I am planning to assign to this user. Okay, that's my plan. Okay, so now if I assign this compensation analyst role to the user, can that person create the reports? Can the person go ahead and create the reports? Does it work? If it works, how does it work? Yes, it will work, I can tell you. But how does it work? How that person is getting if I assign a role to this user, how that person is getting access to the respective subject areas? How it is happening? That is based on the transaction analysis role that is inherited by this job role. If you see the duty roles that is inherited by this compensation analyst, it is inheriting these duty roles. One of the duty role is compensation transaction analysis. This transaction analysis role will give access to this subject area. That is very important. We have to know this transaction analysis. Anything, example, financials, even financial transaction analysis. Example, if I go to the financial thing, if I go to financial roles, and if I go to the financial security reference implementation for Finance Cloud, and in that, if I go to the financial analyst, that financial analyst inherits. If I go to financial analyst, this financial analyst inherits a transaction analysis role. It is inheriting the general ledger transaction analysis. It means this person can see the general ledger subject area, and this person can see the intercompany transaction analysis, and this person can see the intercompany subject area. So this transaction analysis will actually brings the access to the respective subject area. Okay, now let's do that. We know this one is going to give access to this transaction analysis, this role, right? Now let me do that. Let me go to home. Let me query this person. Let me log out because I cannot assign roles to this person. Let me log in as some person who can assign role to this user. So I am logging out. So if I assign this job to the user, does it work? Can anyone guess? So let us see. So report user. I am opening this user and I am assigning the access to this user. So I know compensation analyst. Yeah. So Oracle compensation analyst. I'm assigning job role. Okay. So I'm assigning job role again here. I'm not assigning the data role. That's we have to remember. So done. So I have the job role assigned now. So let me save and close. Let me copy this username. Save and close. And then done. And then log out. Okay. And then log in. So now logging in. So typically this person will get more access now. Of course, this person got this access now, and this person got okay. Yeah, this person got more access. All right. Okay. Not yet actually. So we need to wait a minute. So I logged in. Okay, let us. So I'll go to report server directly from here. I'll top that, and at the end, analytics, it will go to the reporting server directly. So yeah, this person role is not assigned yet, basically. So typically, what we need to do if role is not assigned yet, typically we need to run the import LDAP changes process. Then that role will get assigned. Typically, if compensation job role assigned, this person should have a few more icons coming up here. That is not coming up here means whatever role we assign to the user is not yet get affected. So we need to run the import LDAP process typically, then the roles will get assigned typically. So let me do that. I cannot run it from this user because this user doesn't have access. So I will run it from the HCM IMPL 9. It's 11 o'clock. Maybe tomorrow, try to be a little early because whatever topics I'm going to cover tomorrow, that's more about security. That is more important. And the later topics, yes, it's you will know if you do that. But try to be on time tomorrow so that we can start early and cover the main topics. Okay. So,
Actually, tomorrow Saturday.
oh yeah, sorry, tomorrow Saturday, right? Yeah, on my your Monday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So straight on Monday, right?
What's that?
Straight on Monday we meet, right? Monday morning.
Monday morning, yes. Your Monday morning. Let's reconnect together and finish off the security topic, and then go with the visual analytics further. Okay. So yeah, we'll resume it. We'll resume back on Monday then. So try to be on time. Okay. And if you have any questions, just hold up. We can talk to you.
Yeah, like, so are you going to cover like how to develop a BA publisher report and how to register that BA publisher report?
Yep. I'm going to cover that.
Okay, and then integration also, right? Integration, how to integrate.
Yep. I will
because I'm looking forward for those topics.
Yep.
Those are important.
I'm going to demonstrate that. That's right.
Okay.
So Lakshmi, coming back to the original question of Srinivas, so is it like OTBI is a separate tool and BI Publisher is a separate tool? We can take it that way, right?
Yes. In OBIE, yes, BI Publisher is one tool, OTBI is another tool, and OBIA is another tool. There are three different tools we can think of like that.
Because what you have explained to us is that the Fusion application security is working on OTBI. It is inheriting the security also.
Correct. That's
BI Publisher will not do that, right?
No,
BI Publisher
BI Publisher security roles won't work. BI Publisher, a lot of things what OTBI is doing doesn't work because OTBI architecture is different. BI Publisher it's different. BI Publisher, we are hitting database directly and doing things on our own, right?
Yeah.
So,
whereas OTBI using the view objects.
Yes, that has the security inbuilt.
Which are secured. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Right.
And the OTBI report also we can register as a ESS job or like how? Because BI report we are going to create the data model and we are going to create the report.
Correct.
So we are going to design that and we can create that BI report as a ESS job, right? So the same thing we can do for ESS OTBI as well.
That's a good question. So, okay, the two things here. Why do we need to register it? Basically, we are providing the user to run the report from front end, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So OTBI, no need to register from ESS. We can provide that report. We can make the report available on their Fusion applications itself on the dashboard. They can run from there.
Oh, okay. Means like what you are saying is, if you are creating ESS job, that we can able to give access to other person to run it. But the same thing, we can develop OTBI and we can ensure that will be available on the dashboard.
Exactly. That's true. That's the way. And for your question, we cannot register OTBI as ESS.
Okay.
We can register BA Publisher as ESS.
Yeah, please show us like how to create that OTBI and how to make it, how to ensure that it will be available on other
sure. So try to be early on Monday, so we'll finish more topics.
Basically OTBI is leveraging on the OBIE technology and features.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
More visual rich analytics can be done through OTBI, and that can be easily embedded in the Fusion applications. And the way we embed in the Fusion application, not only in the report, not only as a dashboard, not only as a key performance indicator, and also as an infolet, and also as there's one more actually. There are many ways where we can make OTBI to represent on the screen. We can make OTBI report feel as application itself. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, like more graphical representation.
Right.
It's a very sophisticated tool, basically.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's a very good one.
Very good learning. So yeah, we will spend as much time as we can. So I will try as many business cases as we can do, and to do that, I'm allocating around 3 to 4 days only for OTBI. So let us see how much we can cover that in that time.
So Oracle RDF is completely out. No? Oracle reports RDF file.
Out. Form builder, report builder is out. So no more.
Even for BI Publisher.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's really good and Lakshmi, basically, because I think most of the people are from technical background.
Right.
You can give us at least a detailed insight on this. It's a really great help for us.
Sure.
All the things kind of security, all the things maybe it will take some time.
Yeah.
But these reporting, we will catch up early. If you can give maybe simple things you can miss it. Maybe if you can clarify it, definitely it will give a lot of relief to us.
Absolutely. Sure.
No need to go through somewhere or maybe take it to somewhere, some other person. And I have one question regarding transaction analyst. You mentioned a duty role in a job role.
Right.
So if we have the duty role, so if it is a finance, if it is a SCM, or if it is an HCM, so we can get reporting access, right, for the particular user.
Yes, if we have, that's a very good question. So if I give a compensation analyst role, so typically what is giving here, you're setting a job role which is inheriting a duty role. It means not only access to the analysis, along with that you are giving access to multiple pages. And if our requirement is don't give access to the multiple pages, give only access to the reporting, only give access to the compensation subject area. In that case, what you need to do, you have to create your own job role, which inherit this transaction analysis duty role and assign that job role to the user. So then what happens? It will only give access to the transaction which only the analysis subject area only subject area access. That is one way you can do that.
Okay, so this is one of the duty role we remember. So if you wanted to give to any user reporting access, then
yes, that's very most of clients ask that actually. They say that I don't want access to all the screens, just give only access to the report creation. In that case, we have to follow this approach.
Okay. Yeah.
Identify the transaction analysis role, create the job role. If it is HR, assign the data role, create data role on top of job and assign to that person. If it is finance, make sure you have the security policies are managed. We have done that, right? Access to ledger for that security job role. So make sure the data access is also given. So we will see that. We will see the demonstration on Monday.
Fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Okay. Have a good weekend.
And one more thing. What is FRS reporting?
Financial Reporting Center basically created on top of all this OTBI. What Oracle has done, Oracle has segregated that ledgers, journals together, and they have created a S-based cubes basically. So basically that is used in the Hyperion S-based cubes. On those S-based cubes, we have a provision to Oracle has given. I'm not sure where it is. On that S-base, where is it? On that S-base cubes, basically Oracle has given 3 reporting tools: financial reporting, account monitor, account inspector, and smart view. We can use these 3 tools based on these S-base cubes basically, which actually pre-aggregated balances, which on top of the general ledgers, sub-ledgers, on this they have created these aggregated balances on which you can use any of this reporting tool to work on it. So I'm working with Ravi to how I can show these 3 things to you. So I will see if I come up with any business use case. Else I will at least give background on each of this reporting tool. How does it work? Okay, actually we are not writing any query there. We are not writing anything here. We just use this S-base cubes, drag and drop on the Excel sheet, and drag and drop on the reporting tool and see the data.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Then if you don't have any questions, have a good weekend. Meet again on Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lakshmi.
Thanks. Bye.